Tonight, not far actually from where we're filming this, there will be a Democratic debate, and it's a pretty big one because we don't have a lot more before Iowa and New Hampshire. They're coming up fast, and for candidates who want to break into that top 3, top 4, there's the window is closing on that. And so if you're gonna go big, this is a pretty good time to do it. And so for each of the 7 candidates, and 7 did qualify, I am going to give my sort of Christmas wish list, what I would like them to do. And it's gonna be a balance of 2 things. I am going to try to give advice to each of these candidates for how they could actually improve their chances. Obviously, I don't support 6 of these candidates, but I'm gonna try to be helpful. Although I do have to acknowledge that I'm gonna be coming at it from a particular bias since there is one of the candidates that I do support. Let's start off with Joe Biden. He is the current leader in the race. He has been the leader in the race for many months at this point, something like 9 months. What he needs to do if he actually wants to win is not do what he's been doing, which is either not talk. He's like if the moderators start to cut him off, he stops talking. No other candidate does that. He just says, okay, I'm done. Don't do that because that does not show a fighting spirit. I know that people believe that you're the most electable against Donald Trump, but you have to be willing to fight it out with people who mostly agree with you on a lot of things to prove to us that you're willing to fight it out with someone who's gonna be coming hard against you the entire debate. So talk, actually talk, show that you wanna talk, show that you wanna talk about your platform. It might not be a bad idea to come up with some good plans to talk about and to talk less about things like corn pop and crazy, like weird ranty stories. Talk about your policies, try to actually sell them. What I want out of this race is for it to be about the actual substance. So that's for Biden. For Bernie, who is in 2nd place right now, he's been back in 2nd place for a little bit since he eclipsed Elizabeth Warren. I know that the last thing you wanna do, the last thing you are, based on your personality, predisposed to do is to go on the attack. I get it. Because even when you don't attack, people call you crotchety and like friction and all that stuff. And if you do, they will attack you. But the time has come. Biden is still winning. You have got to go on the offensive against Joe Biden. I assumed that the American people would just sort of catch on. They do not appear to be doing that. And they still think that he is a shoo-in to beat Donald Trump. And so if you want to show that you are the better candidate based on the policies, and since, look, full disclosure, I've endorsed you, I think that you are, you have to make that case. You can't just counterpunch, you gotta go on the attack against Joe Biden. So please do that, Bernie. For Elizabeth Warren, you were up until recently in 2nd place in this race. You've been passed now by Bernie Sanders. A lot of people who might have either supported you earlier or been interested in you, even if you weren't their first choice, believe that you have backtracked on some of the core progressive policies that you've been staking your candidacy around. Now, for some of those people, there's nothing you can say that would reassure them, but it is still on you to do that. And so giving an impassioned, no holds barred defense of Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, these sorts of things, that might help to reassure some of the people who've recently moved from supporting you, perhaps to Pete Buttigieg, to Biden, those sorts of things. So keep it on the issues and speak positively about what you plan to do. No quibbling. Next, for Buttigieg. Look, you've been facing a lot of pressure recently, Pete Buttigieg, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that you are accepting money from the sorts of people that a lot of Democratic primary voters do not want having a strong voice in this primary. It took a lot of pressure for you to open up your fundraisers to the press. It took a lot of pressure for you to disclose your bundlers, and even then you left 20 of them off. It took more pressure to get you to reveal those. What you need to do is go beyond disclosure. Stop taking money from extremely wealthy people who have no interest in systematic change in this country. They're not on our side, and you need to prove that you are. As long as you're being financed by them, as long as you're spending your time going to Wall Street to get money and then wine caves and things like that, it is gonna be very hard for a lot of people to believe that you actually have their best interest in mind. So coming out and rejecting all of that money in the future, giving that money back, that would be the strongest move at this point that I think you could make. Next to Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang, I know that the moderators don't have a lot of interest in letting you talk. I get that, and it's possible that you can speak up and they just won't go to you, but you gotta try. Andrew Yang has spoken the least at, I believe, every debate so far. And they're not gonna just give you that time. They're not gonna hand it over to you. You need to take it. You need to speak out. Maybe you need to scream. Maybe you need to throw a fit or something like that. There are a lot of people who have an issue with this format. They might be on your side, but they're not gonna be on your side unless you make it clear on the stage what your side is. So if you wanna have the time to talk about your platform, you need to be more aggressive than anyone has been on that stage to claim that time as your own. For Amy Klobuchar, what are you doing? Come on. You qualified, congratulations. That is a surprise because there's a lot of people in the race right now that are still at 0% and they're hanging in there, they're still running. There's like 10 people who are running who have literally no measurable support. Amy Klobuchar does have a couple of points of support. I don't support Amy Klobuchar, but if I did, I would say you have got to differentiate yourself from Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden. They're your competition right now for those centrist establishment voters. If you want them, you gotta come up with something exciting. You have to be the centrist version of Elizabeth Warren. Come up with some kind of plan. It can't just be, I agree with Biden and Buttigieg, I'm just kind of quieter about it. That is not gonna work. Come up with something. I don't know what it is because I don't come up with centrist policy proposals, but you gotta stand out with something big and it's not gonna be cracking like jokes or something like that. That is not working for you. Make it about the substance, but come up with what that substance is going to be. And then finally, Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer, of the 3 billionaires in this race, I agree with the most. What I disagree with is him running for the presidency in the first place. Tom Steyer, I believe, to the extent that a billionaire can sort of have like the right intentions, and I think that every billionaire is warped by the money that they have. I think that he does, but he's just wrong to be running. Tom Steyer, you're not gonna win the presidency, and you are spending so much money to lose this primary. That money could be put into a million different better uses. And I know that you're putting money into other things too, but put this money as well. Fight voter suppression, help to win some state houses so that we can get rid of gerrymandering and things like that. Like there is an assault on democracy across this country and you could be the champion that fights against it. I know that you wanna make climate change a big part of this race and I do value that. But we've got Bernie, he's doing it too. You could be the guy that helps to retake these state house races that the Republicans have been so successful in over the past couple of decades. And that is a far better use of your money than what you're doing right now. So that is the advice that I have for those candidates. It really is go time. And we're gonna be doing live coverage later tonight. Hopefully you'll tune in right after the debate. We'll be giving our responses, Jake and Anna and Ida and myself. Super consequential, and so it's very interesting to see what they end up doing if they take any of my advice, which I believe many of them will not. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.